Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline. I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz. I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Caroline, and I'm here with Liz.
Hey, everyone.
And today we're excited to welcome to the show Jacksonville-based interior designer Andrew Howard. From his beginnings in his parents' design store to being recognized as one of the top designers in America and publishing his first book in 2021, Andrew is known for his lively, traditional interiors, bold color palettes, and practical way of putting a room together. Today, we're going to chat about how to add playful elements to traditional design. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Great to be on with you.
I have had you on my list of people to talk to for so long. And I think I wrote this in my email, but I saw one of your projects in Southern Living, the one in St. Simon's Island, and I was like, why have I not emailed him? So that was prompted me to reach out to you. It was such a fun space, and I think really speaks to the topic we're talking about, playful but traditional at the same time. I encourage all of our listeners to go check out that project because it was really fun. But yeah, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
First, we got to start maybe with your background a little bit because you're not the only designer in your family. In fact, your mom, your dad, and your sister are all interior designers. And you talk in the introduction of your book about growing up and, working in your parents' shop and not necessarily knowing you were going to be a designer. But what was that kind of background like? And how did you sort of come, in young adulthood to realize that you wanted to be a designer?
I don't think I really ever realized I wanted to be a designer. And that's a weird thing to say. I started working at the store out of college and kind of, was finding my way. Wasn't sure it was going to be like a full-time thing or maybe I'd leave and do something else. But, it just sort of happened. And I'm glad it did. It's been a lot of fun. I've been there. This is year 24, which is scary to even say. But I've been there in some shape or form for 24 years, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a fun ride. I'm not the type of designer though that like grew up decorating their friends' houses at overnight parties. We were more like, playing football in the backyard and then, making prank calls or whatever we did. So,
well, you have your own specific, I think, space that you've carved out because your color palettes are so fun. Your rooms are whimsical, lively. They're like so buoyant. I don't know. They feel like so uplifting and joyful.
well, thank you.
Yeah. What do you think that comes from?
I think that for me, I really want our spaces to be a reflection of the people that live there. And so I try to work with amazing people. And I think a home that reflects them is really a true success. It's not always color that makes it. Sometimes it's a little more pared back and just something that reflects them. I did this bedroom for a girl a long time ago, and her friends came in as we were installing them, and they all said, "Oh my gosh, this room is just so grace." And I was like, "We nailed that." I mean, that made me feel really good. And so for me, like I want to do a room that's so whomever we're working for.
What a great gift that you get to give your clients in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I think that we talked a little bit before about, rooms and things. I like each room to sort of be a new experience. I think a lot of times people are nervous, like, is this room going to connect to the next room properly? And I've never been a big believer that rooms should connect. I don't think we need to have similar themes in rooms. We can explore something different in each room. It's fun for me to walk around a house and be surprised every time you turn around the corner to see something new and different.
I think that's really interesting because we do hear a lot about there being a thread from one room to another. So what is it that makes you want to have a new experience, or is there any kind of thread, even if it's just a very thin thread that goes through?
When I first start a project with anybody, we sort of look at pictures and sort of determine what the style of the house might be or what style we like. So I think style wise, we don't want it to feel like a show house where a different designer did every room. I think there's some nuance in doing a traditional house with different colors or a modern house with less color. I think the rooms need to sort of feel like they belong in the same house, but color wise, I don't think they need to relate to each other, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
You use a lot of traditional pieces, but there is so much that's unexpected, whether that's the color or, a funky chair or maybe a more geometric pattern or something. So I'm curious, like, where are you usually starting? Are there things that you kind of go back to and draw on for inspiration?
I think for me, there was a point in time where I just kind of looked at what I was doing, maybe 10 years ago, and just like, every piece in this room is recognizable. Like I sort of like this room looks like any other room, and I'm always trying to self-reflect and think of ways we can, improve. So I just had this realization one day. I was like, I want to do rooms when you walk in, you don't recognize anything. Obviously, with fabric, that's a little hard, and it doesn't always work. But at least with pieces, we can do that. And so I want rooms to look like, where did that come from, or where did that come from? Versus, I've seen that mirror before. It's from this company. So I take a lot of pride in that, and really work hard to do that and make a room feel collected. I kind of fashion myself as the anti-decorator. I don't really hang out with a lot of other decorators, and I don't do a lot of design events. I probably should do more of them, but I just kind of come across as a regular guy, I guess, and want my rooms to feel super special, but not decorated, if that makes sense. Collected is a better word.
Okay, but how are you finding pieces? Like, you have to buy it from somewhere.
Right.
Or, I mean,
Well,
is it just like vintage? Are you making it one of a kind?
we're doing a lot of vintage stuff, and then sometimes I'll look at books late at night and say, gosh, I love that side table that this person used. Let's create something kind of like it for this next job. Or I'll be on Pinterest and see a bench that I love, and let's do a version of this for somebody. So it's just a constant rabbit hole of just always kind of looking for the next cool thing.
Yeah. I find like all of your chairs seem to be totally unique in every room. And even within a room, you'll have like 5 different styles of seating, and they seem to have a lot of personality, whether that's in the shape or the form or the fabric, or whether it's a bright fabric or a textured fabric. What's going on in your mind when you're pairing different shapes and different forms like that with chairs?
Well, I lived in my house that I live in now for a year without any furniture because I was so obsessed with getting the right chairs and shapes and all that stuff. So a lot of it's just a kind of a sick obsession, I guess, with things being unique and different feeling. But what really goes into it for me is I'm really big on scale, and I'm really big on unique pieces. So chairs, you don't want to have a tiny chair next to a big wingback chair. You don't want to have things that feel like they don't feel similar. Like for me, I'll always pick a chair before I'll pick the garden seat that goes next to it, because I want the height of the garden seat to relate to the arm. I want end tables to feel like you could put a drink on them without having to lift your hand up in the air. So for me, it's a scale thing and pieces that feel appropriate. And then I'm also a really big comfort guy. I want everything to be really comfortable. I hate those rooms where you go in and you're like, there's not anything in here I even want to sit on. So love comfort. And then the last is a strange one, but I have 2 kids, and durability for me is major. So I use a lot of outdoor fabrics. My wife, when we got this, our sofas, we got our first 2 sofas in this house, and I was so excited, and they were great looking. And so we finally had a place to sit and watch TV. And the first day we had them, I don't know if you've seen The Office where Kevin spills that big pot of chili, but she was eating a bowl of chili and spilled the whole thing on the sofa, and we got it all out. And I don't know how that happened, but we got it all out. So durability for me is a big deal.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I just love your rooms, and I feel like the chairs are already having a conversation before you can even walk into the room. The party's already started.
I might steal that line from you. That's actually really good. I'm going to start using that myself.
Yeah, I loved your layouts. And you really you know what, actually you use so many patterns on your chairs and on sofas. And I'm curious, is that like, do you think of the chair and the sofa in the living room being like the main like attraction? Like you're kind of always making them a focal point. And I like that because, you're supposed to like that's what the living room's for. It's for sitting. So you're making it look like I'm drawn to this chair because it's interesting and therefore I'm going to sit in it. I don't know. Is that what is your love for a unique chair?
I think the way to make things unique is to sort of realize that not everything you don't need to love every fabric in a room. You need to love the room, and so having smaller scale or solid pieces in a room, really let some pieces stand out and be the star, and really be the focal point of the room. So for me, it's all about variation. You don't want 10 A-list celebrities in one room. You like two or
Mm.
three, and then maybe a couple of B-list guys go in there with them. So that's what rounds out makes it a great movie. So I think that I'm thinking that way. Like, what's my superstar fabric? And maybe that's going to be curtains or a sofa. And then how are these other fabrics going to relate to it?
And the pattern doesn't stop on the chairs and the sofa. I mean, let's just start there too. I mean, you go bold in wallpaper quite a bit. You're not afraid of just doing something completely different on a ceiling. So we've kind of talked about the chairs and the conversation that they're having, but how do you round that out into an entire space and consider every space?
Well, I think you hire a designer to make a space spectacular. There's access points for everybody. I mean, you could anyone that had a little bit of time on their hands could go in a store and sort of figure out how to put a room together that looked nice. But I think you hire us to make it something really special and over the top, and think of things that the average person might not have thought of. My son was playing video games with his friends the other day. I hate video games, but in this room upstairs that I have for them, and they closed the curtains because the glare was bright. And he said to his friend, he's like, "This is one thing about having a designer for a dad that's good. Kids would never think to put curtains in a room." And so I was kind of like, that's true. So we think of the things that maybe kids or other people don't think of. And I take a lot of uh, when someone trusts us to help them with their house, we want to deliver in every sense of the word. So that's kind of why I try to think of every surface of every room and just make these rooms feel really alive and energetic.
I loved reading your book because you really are so practical in your advice and kind of what you wrote in it. But I also feel like there's a big and you kind of spoke to this earlier, but like that St. Simon's project and some of your more recent projects, they take what was kind of in the book even to a next level. They're bolder, they're more patterns, they're more colors, they're more accent colors. And I'm curious if that is your evolution or if that's something that you're like something your clients are asking for or because like the temperature is changing in the world of design and what people are liking, or if that's you kind of just being drawn to like more in a different direction.
It's funny about my book and about even the book I have coming up in September. You sort of look, at least I do. I sort of look at my book and I love doing the book. It was great and everything about it I love. But when I go back and look at old work, I'm like, I could have done this a little better. I could have pushed a little harder here. I could have communicated this concept to the client better that we didn't end up doing. So I'm always self-reflecting and kind of looking at ways that I can do things better. And I like to think of every project that I finish as my favorite at that moment, but it's also the worst project I'll ever do from here on out. So I don't mean that in a bad way, but you look back at your book and you think, gosh, I could have done a little bit better than that. So it's a lot of self-motivation, I guess.
Well, I'm sure our listeners, if they pick up the book, which is Style, Comfort, Home, published in 2021, it's a great book, then they would definitely look at it and not think this is not bold. Like they're going to look at it and think this is bold,
Yeah.
this is fun, this is like unusual and something they haven't seen before. But in comparison to what some of the things you're doing now, it's like, it's even more like on that trajectory, but pushing further. So I liked seeing that just because I do think that out in sort of the Shelter magazine and the vibes and what we're seeing now, there is more color, there is more pattern. We're seeing more of that. So maybe there's more comfort with it. So I wasn't sure like maybe which came first, but I love that you're using the book as a way to kind of, look back at what you've done and make it better. That's really cool. And you just finished another one?
I did. It was funny. The first book, I kind of, my son was little. My youngest son was little when I wrote it, and there was this moment when we were potty training in the middle of the night where I went up to his room and was sat him on the toilet, and then he said he needed to read a magazine while he was going to the bathroom, and I was like, "It's 3 a.m. There's not going to be a magazine." And I put that little blurb in my book, and it was like a serious decorating book, and I put that little blurb in the book, and they loved it, and so they asked me this time to see if I could write kind of a funny decorating book that would be kind of a comedy and a decorating book. And so we'll see how that works. I think it's good, but we'll see how everyone receives it. But this next one's going to be a funny book about decorating.
They being your publisher.
Yes, they did. Yes. So anyway.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to read that. When does that come out?
It comes out early September. I'm not exactly sure. Most people would know when their book comes out, but I think it's early September.
Let us know.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back to talk about it.
Oh, for sure. I will.
Yeah.
Because if it's anything like your Instagram, that is a whole rabbit hole that I found myself falling down into. Not just because the photos are absolutely stunning, but because your captions are so hilarious. Where every one of your caption is like a teaser into your everyday life. And then here's a dining room.
Right. Yeah, I felt like as a designer, I was reading other people's Instagram. When I first got Instagram, I was reading other Instagram, and I was like, these comments are just so boring. Like these people, it's boring. Like this isn't fun. And so I was like, what can we do to make this kind of interesting and make people kind of hang with my picture for 30 seconds or so? And I came up with that. And a joke a day is hard to come up with. So sometimes we probably hit B's and C's on them, but every now and then I'll get an A, I think. And the joke's good. So we'll see. My kids say a lot of funny stuff, and when they do, I just tend to write it down.
Well, it's a great way to both document your work and document the funny things that your kids are saying all the time.
Thank you.
Better than a baby book.
Right. I had this, I was at the design center many years ago, and my Instagram was kind of in the early stages, but this lady saw me and she said, are you Andrew Howard? And I was like, I'm going to do her voice. It's a terrible impression. She goes, well, it's funny. You look like you just got off your skateboard, but you're a good interior designer. And I was like, okay. And I was like, this is my brand from here on out. Like a guy that kind of vibes like he could have just got off his skateboard, but does good rooms. So it's funny what people glean from things.
You kind of mentioned this with the other interior designers. So many people are like, I'm going to describe what's in the room as the book or the caption. And your book really takes it into the deeper level. Like, why does this work? Or how did I make this happen? Or what was like the motivation or the inspiration here? And with really thoughtful insight. So I really, really enjoyed that about the book. Because knowing where something comes from or what it is doesn't necessarily help us take our own homes to the next level, but understanding the why or the how is much more, I think, long lasting, and you're going to kind of keep it longer and makes you go back to the book. So I'm excited to see see some humor in it.
Thank you.
You don't get that very often in this.
I know, right? It's so it's just so it's so buttoned up. But I think books are amazing. I mean, I've been doing this, like I said, 24 years, and I'm looking at books every day just for seeing what people are doing, seeing how things are being put together. Thinking, gosh, this is a great room. I should kind of, do something like this at some point. So, books, design books are the best thing you can do, whether you're a designer that's been doing it forever or you're, picking up your first design book. They're very inspirational.
Oh, there is nothing better than having that paper in your hand and getting to see like the whole room all big. Ugh,
Undoing the
it's
plastic
the
and
great.
kind of even like the smell that comes when you open it the first time is like
Yeah.
insane. I love it.
Okay, wait, what is your favorite design book? And then I have a controversial question for you.
Oh,
What's your favorite design
well,
book?
my one I got started with that I think is by far the most practical, and it actually was out of print for a while, and they re-released it. Is Mark Hampton on decorating. So it's an old book, but it sort of describes the decorating process. And if someone wants to know how to decorate their own house, other than my book, it's the best decorating book. I'm kidding, but yes.
Okay. Other than your own. Yeah, yeah. Okay, do you like a jacket or do you take the jacket off
Uh,
of the book? Book
I
jacket.
have not done a book jacket, I am good either way, but my publisher for some reason has not been in the jacket camp. Um, that is controversial because the book looks really good with the jacket on. So maybe I'd say it depends on the book and the designer. If the cover's like insanely great, then I'll probably leave it on. And if it's not, I want it to look more. Books look more like a collection when they don't have the jacket off. So a little bit of both.
Yeah. Okay. Is the place you're putting it ever a consideration? Like, do you go sans jacket on the coffee table, keep the jacket on like if it's on a shelf?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
going to probably look a little bit better with the jacket off, um, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a controversial one. I won't disclose whose jackets I've left on and whose I've left off.
Okay. We'll just have to use our eagle eyes in your Instagram
Right.
feed to see what's on there. Well, okay, I mentioned that there are a lot of designers in your family. I'm curious if y'all are ever competitive with one another, or do you ever disagree about something?
Well, I think I don't. It's never really been discussed, but I mean, obviously, when there's you know 3, 4 designers under one roof and working together, I think there's an internal competition, but I think it's a healthy one. It's like let's see what we can all do and who's operating at the highest level. So there is a competition, but it's not one we talk about a lot. Is maybe what I'd say.
Are you going and redecorating each other's homes when the other person's not looking?
I have some ideas for some of their homes. I could share with them for sure.
Off mic,
Right.
yeah. Do you ever go shopping together?
I don't. The rest of them do. I tend to do. I'm on the road a lot more than them, so
Yeah.
I'm gone a lot, and I think that we kind of shop on our own with clients, and they
Yeah.
I don't go to market very often or any of that stuff, so they do a lot of that stuff, and it's just not really my thing.
Uh-huh. So you're based in Jacksonville, and I love there is a lot of coastal, I think, elements. You love like sort of a woven or a rattan. There's lots of blue, but I'm curious if you ever like, do you like to kind of get away from that? What is your thought on a kind of beach location and decorating a beach location, maybe when it's not a vacation house? You know what I mean? Like living in, I think, in a city that could be considered a coastal, but it's your main house, so you don't want it to feel like, or do you? I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, when I first started, I live by the beach, so I always tell people I've done blue and white beach house to death, and I love doing blue and white beach house. Don't get me wrong, but it's fun to sort of get out around the country and do projects that aren't on the ocean, that are maybe on a lake or maybe in the
Mhm.
mountains or maybe in the country. It's fun to sort of not do the same thing over and over, and I think a lot of times
Yeah.
um, people are nervous to hire a designer to do a style that they haven't done a lot of. But I also think if someone calls me to do a style I haven't done a lot of, I'm going to dig in a lot harder on that and really study it and try to nail it perfectly the first time. So if you
Yeah.
like a designer and they don't necessarily do what you think might be your style, talk to them about it. Because I think a lot of times, the bag of tricks is the bag of tricks, whether we're doing modern, traditional, whatever. It's the same bag. So it's fun to sort of get out there and do some different things and sort of figure out how, these other kit parts go together versus my traditional blue and white beach house, which again, I love doing.
Well, of course, you get to explore a whole new palette, maybe like muddier tones or more, warmer colors. That seems like it would be such a, fun challenge.
It is, and it's always fun to go to a new place, and check out the surroundings. I believe that a house speaks to you, and so when you go in a house, not literally, obviously, but when you go in a house for the first time, there's something about the house that sort of says we probably need to be kind of on this roadmap, but you don't have to stay here the whole time. And so I
Mhm.
try to listen to that. Like you don't want to have the decor not reflect at all the architecture of that house. So I think
Right.
there's sort of a balancing act, but I think that that's kind of always fun to do something new.
Yeah, what was your last challenge that you felt like you really needed to dig in and do a little bit more research and do a little bit more soul searching on finding the right style?
I have I've just started doing a lot of restaurants and country clubs, and actually, strangely enough, I got asked to do a bar recently, which was like my home bar, which I'm in a lot on the weekends
Yeah.
myself, which is great. So it's like I get the bar to look the way I want it to look. So um, with commercial, there's all kinds of different aspects, and finding fabrics that work. If you, I mean, if you people act crazy in public, and if you don't think they do, think about how you've left hotel rooms at some point in your life, not always super nice and clean. So, you gotta accommodate for that, and you gotta think about how people are going to treat things, and how fabrics, how durable fabrics need to be. So we've had a lot of fun doing restaurants and bars and stuff like that. The way a room lives with tables, with all the same furniture, really tables and chairs, is different than the way we decorate residentially. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I would think it's almost an entirely different, not job, but like it's a different set of color or fabrics, a different type of materials, different maybe set of rules in terms of like your leeway for walking through your own house can maybe be a little tighter than if you're carrying a tray of like drinks or food and you got to like open up your thing to put the tray down and
Yeah.
like that would be totally different.
The bowl of chili got spilt at this house on accident. The bowl of chili will
Yeah.
get spilled at the restaurant, no doubt, multiple
Every
times.
night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they got to be ready for that. So
Yeah. Oh God, when I worked in a restaurant, like the 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 dirt, the grime, the constant walking, the food, like, gosh,
none of that exists at any
that's a challenge.
restaurants I do, though. So
Oh, okay, of course not. No, everyone's very well
right, that's
behaved.
right.
um, well, you talk in the book about color and using kind of something fabric or rug or art as inspiration, but I really enjoyed seeing the accent colors that you were using because your color palettes, you weren't, it's not like there was one or two colors in a room. There were 3, 4, 5 sometimes,
Mm.
and they really, I said lively in the beginning, and I felt like so much of that came from the color, like the energy. There was so much energy in the rooms. Um, what do you think about accent colors? Do you think that's something that the average kind of homeowner is not like paying enough time, like attention to, or um, like what is kind of your thought on color? I
I
guess.
think I've always thought that a blue and white room can be beautiful and traditional, but they don't necessarily feel layered and alive all the time. I
Mhm.
think the more colors you layer in, the more the room will sort of feel alive and happy, and you really want to kind of go in that room. Um, and there's a real simple formula for people that are starting out. There's only 3 colors that exist: red, yellow, blue. And then if you take the opposite one on the color wheel, those colors tend to go together well. So if you like red, then you mix blue and yellow. Green goes well with red. Pink, a soft red pink goes good with the soft green. So just kind of take the
Mhm.
color wheel, and if you're struggling, just kind of take that opposite set of colors and put them together, and that's your accent color if you're starting out.
Do you usually know all of the accent colors from the beginning, or are there occasions maybe where some color starts to unfold as you get into it or as you're installing that you're like, oh, this looks great in here. I'm going to add in some, accessories or a pillow or something.
We do. I tend to, when I meet with people, we'll have like 20 or 30 fabrics out, and I'll kind of move them around and shift them. My team really is great about getting me some great stuff to start with. But you'll start to put things with each other as we're kind of moving things around, and we'll say, gosh, this really feels good with this. I didn't think to add this pink in with this blue, but it's sort of feeling like it really belongs in the space. So
Mhm.
there's some push and pull to it, I think, but yeah, some of my favorite rooms I've done have had, lots of different colors in them, and not been limited to just like a white and cream or a white and green or white and blue palette. I think you really get alive when you have a lot of color going on.
Yeah. I just always feel like my friends who have, beautiful spaces and hardworking spaces, I feel like they are nervous about adding in more accent colors. And I'm like, just go for it. Have fun. Like add some yellow or some, something like more out there. It's especially if you can do it in a way that is not a huge commitment.
Right.
And
start with pillows.
Color, I think, seems scary.
Yeah, start with a pillow. If it feels right, then go a little further. But it's a very scary thing to people. And of all things to get scared of, that would be really low on my list. But I understand that it is that way for others. So I think, be scared of things that might actually really hurt you in real life, and take some chances in the decorating world would be what I'd tell them.
Yeah. I have a friend who's colorblind, and I think she's always like, "Does this match? Is this right?" I'm like, "You're really overthinking this."
Yeah, I can
get
see that. Right?
You feel nervous about it, but it's okay. It looks great.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
No, I 100% agree. 100% agree. I've given this office kind of that I'm sitting in now to my kids, and I just wanted to say I found this. I'll show it to you guys. This Michael Jackson sequin jacket in my desk chair that they've kind of taken over for me, which is, really good. And then I don't know where this tank top showed up from, but I found this tank top in my office chair as well. So when you let your kids take stuff over, that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with. So sorry.
How old are your kids now?
They are 12 and 15. And this is my office, which is where I am now, has become their homework room. And so all their stuff's everywhere around here. So.
Hey, as long as they're doing their homework.
Exactly.
Dressed like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, was that what project was that relevant to?
For me, definitely my home project. There's Michael Jackson stuff all over the house, everywhere. My youngest son loves him, and a Marvin Gaye poster just showed up on his wall the other night. I didn't even know he knew who Marvin Gaye was. So anyway.
Have they gotten to the age where they are taking over the art direction of their own homes, or is that something you're still in charge of?
I'm in charge of the starting point. And I actually caught one of them Googling best decor for teen rooms. And then I'm like, hey, we're not doing this, man. But no, I'm the starting.
Whatever Google is sharing is not up to your standards.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started out, and then I always say you can put as much stuff on your walls with painter's tape that if I had to take it down in 5 minutes, I could get it down and in the closet in 5 minutes. And so they've got their stuff up, and if it ever needs to come down, it just whoosh comes out of there, and then we put it right back up, if we need to. So they've got. I like to give kids free reign. You got to let them, you got to let their personalities shine. Like I grew up in some bedrooms in some houses that I felt like were really buttoned up and stiff, and we never really got to let ourselves shine. So I feel like when they go to college, I'll sort of appreciate some of that stuff they put up when they were little as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd watch out. I think you've got some budding interior designers coming in.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
At the moment, no, but we'll see. That would be the dream.
That'd be really, wow. What a great thing to have 3 generations of interior designers. Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You talk in the book about you said something about like floor plans are really about walls.
Yes.
I thought that was so interesting, and I wonder if you could expand on that. What is it about a wall that you're thinking about, or what's the internal monologue, I guess, of the wall when you're building out the floor plan? Like, where's that coming into your thought process?
Well, I talked earlier about scale, and so the floor plan is the house, and the floor plan is what you got, and it doesn't lie. So for me, we'll always start with a 2D plan and sort of put furniture in and make sure things feel right size wise. Obviously, you're going to miss from time to time, but for the most part, you can look at a floor plan. A decorator should be able to look at a floor plan and translate that to the finished space. And if you can't do that, you might not be in the right business. But we tend to sort of look at a plan, and then I'll say, I've got this much space to work with. I can fit this size sofa. I can fit these couple of chairs. And really, we go to site visits and we do them, but they're not terribly necessary because we can look at a plan and know exactly what we're getting into and exactly what the room's going to feel like. So for me, once I see a floor plan, I sort of I got the house. I know what it's going to feel like. I know how it's going to breathe and live, and everything starts there. If it doesn't fit on the floor plan, it's not going to fit in real life. So it's really important to make sure everything fits within those four walls, and your ceiling, needs to be interesting, whether it's architecturally or whether it's a wallpaper or a color or something like that too.
Yeah. Why does the ceiling need to be interesting? I loved, okay, there's a whole chapter in the book about interesting ceilings.
Right.
And it was like, what did you say? It's the most important wall.
Right.
And I was like, what? I haven't touched my ceilings.
Nobody likes an accent wall anymore. I mean, they're kind of like just not, or at least maybe some people do. I don't love them. I think it is I don't like the word accent wall to be honest with you, but it's sort of the accent wall of the space, right? It's the first thing you see when you come in the room, and it sort of, before you look at the walls, you'll see that shape of that ceiling and really pay attention to it. So it really just adds, another level to rooms. And when people come through a house we've done, they don't necessarily leave talking about the kitchen faucet or the color of the island. They'll leave talking about the ceilings. And so we try to really work hard on those.
That's really interesting because when I was looking for a home, the house that really struck me the most had a really incredible wallpaper on the ceiling.
Yeah, that's great.
I know. I was like, well, what do I put on my ceiling? I have low ceilings. I have like 8-foot ceilings. So,
yeah, but 8-foot ceilings can be cozy and kind of, nice too. So there's.
Do I go darker?
Well, I mean, I that I've never been in your house.
You're like, I don't know.
I don't know what you got going on, but lots of ways to get there, I guess.
My living dining room, I have a great fixture over my dining room table, but there's not a spot for a living room, overhead light. And I've always thought maybe I should add something, but I only have 8 feet. So I'm like, maybe that's too low. I don't know. It's a problem I haven't solved yet. What would you do? Is 8 feet too low to add a ceiling fixture?
No. I mean, I think that, obviously we prefer in a room like that lamplight and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But no, I mean, there's flush mounts now, and even semi-flush mounts that sort of, can come down and really illuminate the space. My rule of thumb is the smallest they make a door is 6'8", and so you don't want a fixture that hangs below that. And typically you'd probably like to be at like 82 from the floor. So, and that's at an 8-foot ceiling, that's probably your worst case scenario. Once you get up higher, you have more options, but think about being at 80 to 82 off the floor as a worst case scenario for your lighting.
That is an excellent rule of thumb.
Thank you.
Are there certain things that you feel like need to be in a room other than a great ceiling, maybe, that for the room to get like the Andrew Howard stamp of approval? Are there certain things that you're like, we're missing this, it needs it?
Pieces that look unique, comfortable furniture, really comfortable furniture that you'd want to sit on for a long amount of time. Most houses, depending on kids' age, are going to have durable fabrics. And they do such a good job with them now. I like my outsides to sort of outside fabrics to be inside. So those 3 things would be probably the most. And then I just like rooms to feel lived in. Like when I leave a house, I don't want to have rooms that are off limits for kids or things where people aren't allowed to go. We had rooms that we weren't allowed in as kids, and I was like, it's kind of weird. I kind of want to do houses where everyone can come in any room and just kind of have at it. And with that being said, I have a room in the front of my house that my kids are allowed in, but not too often. It's our. My wife and I
charge them $5.
I should, but we call it we have this thing called Captain's Hour where we hang out at night for 30 minutes with no kids and talk. And so it's like our Captain's Hour room. So that's part of the reason they're not allowed in there too. It's not just because of the fabrics. But yeah, $5 should be on the horizon for sure.
Can you explain that to our listeners who don't know what I'm referring to?
Yes. When I was a kid, we had rooms in our house, again, growing up with designers. So where there was a $5 fine for sitting on certain pieces of furniture, especially with food that we weren't supposed to sit on. But it's weird being a parent now and having boys and seeing my son come home from football practice, plowing through like a protein bar and a shake. I wouldn't want that kid sitting on my stuff either. But you got to make it. Back in the day, we didn't have outdoor fabrics, so you got to make it durable enough that when they do that, you're prepared to contain those stains, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, there's some validity because you're like, are you seriously eating Cheetos on my sofa right now? Like, come on here. But, $5 for every time you want to sit.
I mean, it adds up, right?
It's a
Especially,
lot of tooth fairy money.
and I grew up a long time ago, guys. So that $5 back then
That was a lot.
it was serious money. Yeah. So
Yeah, I really love your captain's hour idea. I'm gonna steal that. I need I love that, like, the playful language and the like firm rule of like this is adult time.
I had a
And
friend.
you have a special room for it.
I had a friend that told me about it a long time ago. I'm like, that's a kind of a strange name. Does it work? And he's like, yeah, just tell your kids it's captain's hour and then they'll leave. And I was like, I don't know. So we did it and they left. And I was like, okay, well, this is good. So I travel a lot. So it's great to catch up with my wife just one-on-one and we can say all the stuff that we can't say around the kids and all that stuff, so it's fun.
Yeah. And I assume you get like a little screen-free time or maybe you watch a show or something.
Oh, we this is screen-free, just like hanging out, and then, screens definitely come back into play later on, but we got 30 minutes screen-free, good to go.
I want to talk about adding color to millwork and around a space. Because we don't have a decorating dilemma, Caroline and I are just kind of interjecting our own, apparently. So I live in a home that's built in 1930. It has the original woodwork all around the windows. I would love to paint them, but I also want to be respectful of the home and like the age and kind of the history of this home. What would you do? Would you just go and paint them or refinish them, or
it depends on how much you're trying to do, but I do see a lot of homeowners a lot of the time with this wood trim or even wood, tongue and groove or paneling that's stained, and they say, we want to keep true to the house, and I totally agree with that. But a lot of times it's like an inexpensive wood that probably should have been painted back in the day. So someone decided to stain it because maybe a husband got involved, and he's like, we stain all wood, and so I think that if it's like a fine wood, like a mahogany or a walnut, those live in a good stain world. But if it's something that was probably meant to be painted to begin with, I don't have a problem painting it. And you can always sand the paint off and take it back. So it's not, for me, I don't get too concerned about painting a stained piece of trim unless it was like a fine piece of wood that should be stained. Like I said, most of the time when a stained piece shows up, it's a piece that probably should have been painted to begin with.
Okay, I see your point there. But now what are your first thoughts about what colors to take them?
I will definitely relate it to something in the room. So, I mean, if it's a wallpaper, I think a painted trim, not white. I mean, it's something that relates to the wallpaper. As the wallpaper goes up, it makes it feel like it's got a really good stopping and starting point, and your eye kind of picks that up. If you have a wallpaper with a white trim and white base below, your eye sort of flows to the ceiling and doesn't really see a defined stopping point. So I think it defines walls and ceilings and spaces to paint it that color. But there are also some instances where, we don't need that extra step. We just need to kind of keep it light and bright. And so there's not a one size fits all. I don't think there's a one size fits all for anything in the entire world. But I think it's just kind of how things live and breathe. And a painted colored trim is always going to be more interesting to someone who hasn't seen that before. So guests, as they come to your house, are like, okay, this is cool. You painted your trim a color. I think it's a really nice touch and a simple thing to do. And it's one of those decisions we talked about being scared of, that if you hate it, you can always go back to what it was before pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, I find that that's one of the things that really makes your rooms kind of joyful and playful too, is that extra pop of color.
Yeah. Someone told me a long time ago that said your clients are going to have to repaint all their trim in a few years, and I'm still waiting for that to happen, but maybe they will. We'll see.
No, your room is going to live forever because it's so great.
Right. And if they have to paint it, then they'll call me to redo it when they're painting it in a few years, and it's a win-win for me either way. So,
Are you choosing a different finish for any painted trims? Like, would you go a high gloss or like if you have, an eggshell finish on the walls?
I'm typically a satin guy on trim,
Okay.
especially if it's going with the wallpaper. You could punch it up a little bit if you wanted, but you know, I don't do a lot of high gloss trim, although, there are some city projects or whatever that might call for it. So I think 80% of the time we're living in the world of a satin finish on it. And then, there might be certain circumstances that call for us to dial that up a little bit.
I guess I'm getting my paintbrush out.
Go call your painter and let's get this thing going.
I just love, gosh, just your portfolio has so many great color combinations, and it's like there's no color off limits. Is there anything that you are really drawn to right now? Maybe like something unusual that you haven't seen or you've recently sort of been drawn to that you're like, this is amazing.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not drawn to orange all that much, and I'm a Florida Gator graduate, so that's kind of strange for me. But I'm not drawn to orange in rooms very much, and I'm actually finding myself really drawn to red right now, and as a complementary piece, but not as the main piece in a room. So red goes so well with blue, and it goes so well with green, like we talked about earlier. I'm finding myself really exploring using a lot more red than I used to, and it's such a great pair with blue and stuff. So that's definitely something we're getting into a little more.
I love it's called the Hidden Hollow project on your website, and yeah, you've got so many primary colors in there, but which I think to our listeners who aren't necessarily looking at the project, it might feel very like elementary, but they're layered so well, and there's just like this little touch of red. It's the primary color thing I have been seeing out there a lot. I'm curious, like, are you surprised how much you're enjoying it? Is that something that just was really for that particular client, or are you feeling like that's more like interesting and exciting for you these days?
Well, A, I appreciate everything you said, but B, Hidden Hollow is where I'm sitting right now. It's my house. So,
is it really?
yeah. So I was the client. So I typically will work with a team member on a project, and I kind of did this one on my own.
Oh, I see your office now.
And so, yeah, I'm sitting right here. Right. So,
and the blue built-ins.
Right. For me, I kind of wanted this to be a house, like if a client was considering using us or something, to come over and take a look at and see kind of what a well, at least in my mind, designed house looks like. So, no client involvement. 1 year of sitting in the house with no furniture and thinking about every little detail. That's how we got here. So, anyway.
Oh my God, that living room is just
that's the captain's hour.
Spectacular. Great ceiling. Great ceiling.
Yeah, everyone needs to check this house out because seriously, this is the best show house ever.
Thank you.
Really fantastic.
Well, I mean, I try to, do things that my kids like too. So we did a dining room mural kind of based on our trip to Nantucket. We took that everyone loved, and they actually put them in the mural. Most of the art we have are not things that I picked out on my own. They're things that we kind of have seen on trips and they loved and they kind of reacted to, and we bought something from the same artist or something. So there's a lot of family history here. I had someone knock on my door recently and inquire about buying the house. And I just thought that there's just so many stories in these walls now that I don't know that I could do that at this point.
Yeah. What do you say when someone's like, hey, can I buy your house from you?
I'd say, how much are you offering? As the first thing I say. And then after that, I think about it, my second thought is where would I go next? And do I want to deal with the year of having no furniture and all that stuff again? And, for the right price, I probably would, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I love the color, and oh my gosh, the color is just so inspiring and fun. I mean, that first living room with the chartreuse on the chair and what is up with the pleated like skirted lampshade?
Yeah,
I'm seeing that everywhere.
Yeah, lampshades are kind of a new thing that I don't like missing details, and so I think if a plain shade is a detail miss. So I tried to go for checking every box. And the funny thing about that room, I always tell my wife when we're sitting in there, like, that's the room that no client would ever go for if you showed it to them on the table with the chartreuse chair and then the wild wall fabric. So it's funny that room exists in my house because I don't think I could ever talk a client into doing that.
But would you invite a client over to have them experience it? And then they'd be like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah, sure.
Absolutely. That's another thing. So, and then the other thing in play is that I can say, well, I have a room like this at my house. And if you say that, they're like, oh, well, maybe I would do that then. So anyway, it's kind of
Come over for a drink.
kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that pattern. What is that? What is that pattern? It's like very Scandinavian.
Yeah. It's a crewel from Pierre Frey. It's crewels were, something that you saw a lot of. I was going to say a long time ago, but like when I was first starting out, there were a lot of crewels in the world, and then they went away for a while, and now they're back, and I love them.
Yeah. I love was that the jumping off point? I mean, the colors in it are just
For sure.
so pretty.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was like, it just opened the box of like, okay, I've got every color in this fabric on the walls, actually, except for blue. So I added the blue in on the walls. And then I was just like, anything we pick, we've got so many colors we can tie back to these curtains. So it gave you a great jumping off point. And then it kind of needed to be the star, right? So I didn't put a lot of other big, crazy patterns in the room. I kind of let that thing be the star, and then the rest of the guys just complement it.
Yeah.
I also love I guess maybe it's the family room in this, in your house, where it's like you've got the pattern sectional, the stripe wallpaper, the pattern on the window treatments. It's so, it's like blue and white, but to that next level I was talking about earlier, where it's everywhere, and you've got a great ceiling in there too.
I got a great story about that room. So I was sitting around Christmas 3 or 4 years ago watching Home Alone, and I saw Buzz's room had a really cool wallpaper in it, and I texted my a decorative painter that I'm friends with, and I said, hey, should we make a wallpaper like Buzz's room from Home Alone, but maybe change the colors a little bit? So that's Buzz's room's wallpaper from Home Alone-ish that we changed the colors to. And that sofa is the one we spilled the bowl of chili on. So
in that fabric.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about an iconic house, right?
Best. I mean, the best for sure. But I get a lot of crazy ideas. Like, you'll be watching a movie and you say, gosh, that room's really pretty. And I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to somebody. I'll say, we could do something like this, because, I try to think of, when I said we're doing things that are unique, I think the whole world is sort of our market. So, you never thought you'd take decorating inspo from a kid's Christmas movie, but here we are. So.
Oh gosh, I like vividly remember those tile countertops where they spill the milk on the green tile countertops, and my gosh, there's so many things about that house that are so, well, maybe just for like a kid of that age, but like so visceral.
I mean, I'm the kind of nerd that I've driven by there and taken my picture in front of that house. So, I love it.
Nice. Yeah. Do you think that red and green is ever coming back? That
not
red and green,
not in that level of intensity, at least not for a while. But it was great in its time, and I think that sort of evolved version of that is sort of in style right now, but not that exact way they did it, for sure.
The burgundy and like the hunter green.
Right.
Is there a location that you've never done a project where you would love to do one?
That's a good question. There are a lot of places I'd like to do a project. The Pacific Northwest would be great, just because it's kind of a climate that I've never done anything like that. Obviously, overseas would be great, like a London or Paris or something would be amazing. This is strange, but we've been to Alaska as a family, and I always thought it would be great to do something really great in Alaska too. So. But I'm up for anything, anywhere. So whatever comes next, we'll do.
In the Pacific Northwest, you go like moody and like muddier tones, or?
I think it would be, right? And so I said earlier that it's always fun to do something that you haven't really explored before. And so it would be sort of a new kicking off point for, depending on the house and where it was. But I think, a moodier, not as bright colored house would be a lot of fun to do up there. Like on a really great, like rock cliff or something like that. I'm just throwing that in there just in case anyone has that and they want to call me.
Any listeners?
That's right.
We've got the guy for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
we've had a few people write in from the Pacific Northwest. So
okay, we did a road trip up there
manifest it.
last summer, and we drove from South Oregon or Portland, Oregon to just north of Seattle as a family over 7 days, and we stopped a lot and did a lot of hiking and stuff, and probably too much hiking because there were some upset kids after some of them, but it was a lot of fun and it was a great area.
And sharing all of your amazing insight. Everyone needs to go check out your portfolio, get your book, follow you on Instagram, because your work is so unique. It's I think what everyone is really being drawn to right now, especially the traditional, but it's fun and different somehow too, but also nostalgic and familiar.
Thank you. You guys are great, and I appreciate all the compliments. If I'm ever having a bad day, I might just call you back up and say, tell me a couple of
Just
those things.
listen back to this episode.
Right. So,
feeling down.
yeah. But no, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to talk to you guys and chat with you for the first time.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, and see your work?
Sure. My website is andrewjhoward.com. And I threw the J in there because the Andrew Howard was taken. I'm not a middle initial guy, really. And then I took it to my Instagram, which is at Andrew J. Howe. And I just thought that sounded cool. So I'm on Instagram at Andrew J. HOW. You can find anything else you need on either my website or my Instagram. So go by and stop by and tell me if you think my jokes are dumb.
And you know what? In 3 or 4 months, pre-order the next book for the September release.
For sure.
Can you tell us the name?
It's called Comforts of Home, which is
all right,
a lot like Style Comfort Home, but everyone knows a lot more about books than me. I know about decorating, and so they thought that was the right title for the book. I'm like, if that's what you guys think, we're going to go with it. So Style Comfort Home, Comforts of Home, Comfort and Home in the book. If you just put that in, maybe you'll get both my books on Amazon. So
for sure. All right, well, thanks, and that's our show. And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy decorating.
decorating.